Now what is going on with my hair? Whatever. Hi Olga, how are you? What's up, K-Moon? You have to have another reading? All right. Thank you. So I don't know if I told you what I do for work, but I'm a mental health practitioner, and I was thinking, like, you know, a lot of things have been revealed about, you know, all of the things that we fear, and you know, I've noticed that I've attracted so many things into my life, but in reality, they're coming to me because I have the power to help them, but only in helping myself. And what I've realized is that our brains are programmed and like set up in self-defense mode. And basically, our subconscious is manifesting everything that we're afraid of into our life to make us deal with it. But we were never really taught how to do that. You know, we were never really taught how to release things. So in reality, we're our own worst enemy. You know, we don't even know what subconsciously, like what we're doing, you know, how our thoughts are changing our life and how it's getting out of control because we're going to certain things to kind of numb the pain with those addictions when everyone has them. You know, it's not just, you know, the main, like, whatever, it's whatever we are going to fill that void. And it's crazy how deceptive and manipulative we've been to ourselves. You know, when I'm just thinking about all the times that I've done the reading, and it's like I've said that it's other people in our lives, but what if it's us too? What if we're the ones that are deceiving ourselves? And it's causing all these regrets and causing us to give up, but we don't have control over it. And it's more about we're not connected to the right parts to release the things that we're holding on to. We're finding another way to compensate, and then it just gets to be too much. Because all of the fears that we have and these illusions are bringing in the things that are causing the conflict and the things that we're like not healing from and not forgiving or whatever. Things that how our brains have been wired since we've been children, things that have happened to us, like trauma, whether or not it was intentional. And I think that now that I think about it, I don't think it was intentional. Our parents have subjected us. That's who we held on to for our validation, for to teach us things. And, you know, we believed them because those were the people that were supposed to be our support system. Well, what if they're fucked up? So then they make us fucked up and we spend our lives trying to fix it. But in reality, we're just doing the same thing over and over. Basically, everything we fear and are trying to avoid are what is causing all the things in our life. Think about the things that you avoid, the things that you run from, the things you don't want to admit to, or maybe you don't realize you're subconsciously still holding on to it. But that oppression is what's causing a lot of the illnesses and a lot of the reasons for addiction, because we have too much of everything and we're not able to figure out a way to get rid of the things that are causing it. We're waiting for someone else to do it for us when we're the only ones that can take the blindfold off and free ourselves. You know, the mental health field and the service field, people just want to take because they want someone else to do things for them. But in reality, it's kind of our own choices that have gotten us to where we're at right now. and we expect to find the answers or the solution in a pill or in a drug or in a person, and our answers have been within ourselves. And the universe is tired, and it's a wake-up call. Some of us have been through hell only to be able to recognize it and stand in this position to help someone else. You know, to stop overthinking shit, you know, because we are here because there's something that we're not dealing with. There's something that we're not letting go of. The past keeps repeating itself, and it's causing a lot of shit. I don't even know if it's about forgiving other people as much as it is forgiving yourself and realizing that we made the wrong choice maybe, or we are avoiding the things that are causing us to lose our balance, and listening to never really recovering from anything. We're just kind of figuring out a way to not have to deal with it. I don't know where the fuck my lighter is. And our brains don't know how to do that. So but holding on to the fear of relationship, holding on to the fear of not wanting to be abandoned, or we're forever trying to make things right from our childhood with our parents, and it's like, fix that, but our brains are doing that, like, and we're not even realizing it. We're not realizing that we're something, if we're not emotionally nurtured, or if we don't know how to express our emotions or process them, or if we're not supported, then we run from them. And by running from them, we're bringing the wrong things into our life. We're bringing pretty much, eventually it's going to be a mirror image of yourself. We got to release it. Rewire our brains. I've been looking into sound therapy, and before they came up with TVs and shit, there's different frequencies, which is kind of along the lines of Reiki and, you know, meditation, things like that. But it really has to do with what we're thinking about and what we are not eliminating from our lives. The wisdom from within that is causing the anxiety and the depression and the health problems. I think that when you grow up with fucked up people in your life, you kind of feel like you can either hold on to that the rest of your life, or realize that some people don't know what they're doing, or if they did, then we don't have to live that out. You know, we have to figure out a way to understand that some people love or do things the way that they were loved. So it's kind of been a repeated cycle of shit for some of us that has been lived out over and over. Hi, Stacy. That the things that we're keeping in our head are causing our own imprisonment, that because we don't know how to process and let go of these feelings, and we don't talk about them, and we just internalize them, and it fucks up your life after a while. Well, it's than that. It's called sound therapy, and it's frequently just something you listen to. You listen to, you sleep. And the main thing that we need to do is figure out how to release the childhood trauma, release the blockages, release the subconscious fears. And there's so many things. All you have to do is listen to it. And there's millions of YouTube videos. It's like we're trying so hard to fix things in our lives. We're recovering, we're internalizing it. And we don't know that, where it's subconscious. It's in our how to, where our brain avoids certain things. That's what causes mental illness. That's what causes anxiety and depression, because we're trying to prevent ourselves from hurting, but we're not releasing the things that we're afraid of, or the things that are causing this repeating cycles. We forgot how to be self-sufficient. We go to a doctor for a pill, or we go to a therapist to solve problems within ourselves that we don't really understand, and we aren't really supported in the right way, or we haven't been, and have any peace. We are constantly looking for it in another person. And it's just like we're not realizing that in an attempt to protect yourself, your brain is pretty much bringing in everything that you're afraid of, because we don't have confidence anymore. We don't have control of the things around us. We are just to what feels good in the moment, and not really living up to our high purpose. We're not really solving anything, we're avoiding it. And I think that when it comes to addictions, when it comes to a lot of things that we've been through, it's about releasing those subconscious blocks and fears so that we can have the right clarity, because that's when therapy can be effective, and that's when we're able to recognize the things that we need to make and how much time we wasted on internalizing it instead of living in the past, instead of changing the future. And it's crazy. Things are just masking it, and then it's like we are just masking it, and then it's like we wonder why we're struggling and we're overwhelmed. It's because we're not getting to the issue of the problem and releasing subconscious things we're holding on to, the trauma, things that our parents either just did or didn't do for us. And it's just like we need to forgive ourselves, we need to forgive other people, and leave those situations that we hold on to when it's not something we can fix. We got to get rid of some things in order to actually fix the problem. And I think the main thing is forgiving ourselves for maybe needing so many things, or needing other people, when we mostly needed to figure out how to be self-sufficient and tell the truth to ourselves, and then make that decision. I just think that we've been distracted, and we're so if we could just try to change the way that we think, whether it comes to meditation or positive affirmations, or just remember to think of only your desires and never your fears, because if you think of only your fears, that's what you're going to manifest, and that's needs to be eliminated, to have this inner peace, to change our lives from self-imprisonment, not really went about in the right way, because I think there's programs set up, but if you don't understand why you're going to the drug in the first place, or you don't understand why you have all these fears, then how are you supposed to fix it? because we need to take back life so that we can bring in the things that we truly want and need the things that we're trying to avoid. And maybe then that these cycles keep repeating is because it's like trying to get you to learn this lesson and to figure out the right way to deal with it. But in reality, we're like, we just go to the next thing because we're avoiding it. And our kids are struggling. There's a lot of impulsive anger and high expectations for ourselves or other people that we need to satisfy on ourselves, because if we're not satisfied with ourselves, then we can't find it in another person. And it all comes down to a lack of confidence, and maybe not a way to balance things, out and have self-control and not letting things back because we're waiting for someone to support us or someone to solve things for us, and giving away our power to other people, and it's blocking our intuition and our, feeling like everyone's out to get us, and turning to money or sex or drugs or whatever kind of to deal with things. And the universe wants us to wake up and see the power. There will never be enough money. There'll never be enough drugs. There'll never be enough sex. There'll never be whatever it is that we're trying to achieve, because we don't want to make a decision, or we don't know how to find the balance of two things, or figure out that our mothers have had a lot of influence in our lives, and we don't really have any direction because we believe the deception and the manipulation. It's throwing us off our purpose, and it's throwing us off of movement and our destiny. Walking away from those things we're not moving, and it's like we only know what we're comfortable with, and that's what we do. We gave up control to other things. We lost our confidence, feel like we are failures, and we need to our own leaders, help the next person on their journey. Maybe there's some things that we can't get right. That doesn't mean we have to punish ourselves or other people, because that's giving them power. That's giving them, causing us to repeat the past, because we don't know another way. We're used to doing the same shit. Take back control and realize how strong we are, and take a good look at ourselves and the things that we've been through and how we've dealt with them, or what we've been through, and that's the only way things can get better. That's the only way we can get rid of the right things. It's the only way we come back into balance. But it also comes with self-control, and think about it, takes over your life, because you want more. You want to feel that feeling more. You're dependent on it, and you're unable to from our past, and that's what we need to change. The things that we run from, the things that we need to move on from. And friendships, it has a lot to do with family, and it has a lot to do with moving on and forgiving those things. Having the clarity about why we're unhappy and why things aren't really going in the right direction. Maybe we weren't supported by the right people in our lives, and we need to we didn't have the right boundaries with people. We weren't able to say no. Tried to do everything on our own and just exhausted ourselves. Trying to make things work with situations that we thought we wanted. It was something that felt good, and based on fear and illusion and imagination, maybe. We have to retrain our brains, retrain our thoughts, and stop running. Because every trigger that we have in our life, whatever gets an emotional response, is something that is unresolved trauma. Like there's a need to let things end to come back better. There's a need on from things in our life so that we can get our balance back. I feel like we were in denial. We are kind of, because I think that, you know, some of us are like going to be reunited with, you know, our twin, but it has a lot to do with, you know, what kind of love or grief of the past or from a child is something that, you know, that's kind of what's holding you back, is something that you need to forgive and move on from, because there's a lot of living in the past and having a need to try to fix that or manifest something negative because of what we're afraid wake happen. And changes take place, telling the truth and figuring out what's been influential, but also realizing that we have the resources to know what we need to do. And it has a lot to do with the things that we were taught and what we conform to, and how we identify with other people. It's like the focus is on being stable and in security, but it's holding us back from helping and giving and receiving, or, you know, realizing that we're going to have to invest in that in ourselves to get the things that we want. And we need to be what we want in another person to bring that in. That whatever obstacles were put in our way or people that are brought into our lives is because we don't see the truth. We don't see that freedom comes from what's causing the confusion and what's causing things. Trying to fulfill ourselves with the wrong things. And our mental health is fucked. Being self-sufficient, escape things that we are running to the things that are causing this toxicity, because we need to be aware of the things that we're not being held accountable for, another person isn't. It's just like we don't have any enlightenment in our lives. How do we get away from the depression? How do we figure out what we truly are supposed to be doing? We're too busy trying to run from things and defend ourselves against. We're meant to be understanding and empathetic. We're meant to be leaders, and we lost our courage and our authority. So we got to go through a lot of shit, having that, bringing that structure and authority back into your life, making that. Working together with other people. Instead of being only concerned about ourselves and what we are get. We're not meant to come into this world to make money and have all the cars and clothes and be only about ourselves. We're here for other people, and we lost sight of that. So it's time to think about what we're attached to, what we're resisting, and having some clarity about what's keeping us stuck and what we need to release. To manifest the right things. I I'm going to do a video later on. I have to get going. I got some stuff to do, but this is and heal from it and release it. Get our power back. Think about the things that make you panic, feel like you want to give up, the things that you're avoiding, and think about how the things you spend your life trying to change. And why you're not getting to that point where we can recover and improve instead of repeating the past with our insecurities and our addictions. I hope everyone has a good Halloween, and I will